Some big breaking news coming in. Iran's President Pezeshkian says no enmity with regional countries. Iran's president said, and I quote, "I apologize to neighboring countries." Iran's President Pezeshkian says Interim Leadership Council approved that no attacks or missile strikes will be carried out against neighboring countries unless an attack against Iran originates from those countries. This is a big statement coming in from Iran's president. And to give us more details and help us read between the lines, we have our managing editor Karthikeya Sharma joining us live on this broadcast. Karthikeya, a very good afternoon to you. This is a very, very important statement that Pezeshkian has made. It's an apology that he has issued to neighboring countries for the attacks that have been carried out in recent past. Help us understand the situation.
Pezeshkian is saying that he has no enmity with regional countries. Pezeshkian says that I apologize to the neighboring countries. Iran's President Pezeshkian says Interim Leadership Council approved that no attack or missile strike will be carried out against neighboring countries unless an attack against Iran originates from those countries. You know, this is a big development because this is going to put pressure. This is going to put pressure on the Gulf countries not to allow Americans to attack them from their soil. So I think it's a very big decision that has happened. It's a big decision that has happened. I would say that Iran is creating counter pressure on America, and Americans are also, I would say, somewhere down the line sideline on this issue, because a lot of people were saying that who gave the right to the Americans, to actually put the entire Gulf area in the quagmire of the war. And you know, I would say that by doing this, Iranians are giving a signal to the Gulf: please remove yourself from American military action. So this is a counter pressure by the Iranians so that the Gulf nations do not cooperate with America on military issues. And you know, this is something which I would say was coming. This is, I would say, something coming, and I am not surprised by this, because how much United States of America would have done for, say, UAE and its commercial interest. They would have saved themselves first. Or how much America would have done to save the civilian areas in Jordan, or how much America would have done to save civilian areas in, say, Bahrain, Manama, Oman, and many other areas, Iraq. So this entire operation had, you know, taken over the entire Gulf area. The Brent was going out of control in terms of oil prices. So I think it's a very, very important development that has taken place. And I would say that this might restore the confidence of people in the economy of the Gulf. So it's a counter pressure by Iran on the Gulf countries to recalibrate, ensure that they move away from the American interest. It's very, very interesting. You know, there has been no, I would say, love lost between Shia Iran and the Sunni countries who are signatories with the Abraham Accord. So this is like try to sow dissension. Okay, we are not going to attack them, but if there is an attack from your soil against us, we are going to attack. So these countries can create counter pressure on Americans not to use their soil against Iranian attack, which means that their bases, which America has in all these countries, can go defunct. That is where the story is.
And Karthikeya, how long before airspaces are reopened for operations? Because several, foreign nationals, including Indians, are also stuck in these Gulf states.
I would say that there are millions of people who are stuck in the Gulf states. But I think that is less of a story. More of the story here is in the context of the foreign policy. The foreign policy story here is that the Iran is trying to create a wedge between the alliance. Most of these countries have been so closely aligned with, I would say, America, Saudi Arabia, Jordan, Israel, Abraham Accord, the Middle East corridor. It involved the entire Sunni spectrum. There was no Shia spectrum there. They were trying to marginalize Iran. Iran is saying, we are the Gulf. Okay, we are the Gulf. Americans and us can have an issue. Americans and Israel can have an issue. We can have an issue in terms of security because Iranians have proxies all over Saudi Arabia. You know, Saudi Arabia and Israel were fighting a war with each other in Yemen. Saudis, Israelis, and UAE fighting a war against each other in Libya and Algeria. But this was affecting the larger economy of the world. So I think this is a very, very important development. So in a way, Iran is also trying to signal. Now the Trump says that, what is Trump saying?
Sorry to interrupt you. We have Major General A.K. Sivach as well. Please kindly interact with Major General.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Deepak, for allowing me to have a conversation with General Sivach. General Sivach, Karthikeya here. Good afternoon, sir. A very big development, sir. how do you look at in context of strategy that Iran says we suspend our military operation, and if there is an attack on us, only then we'll respond, till then no respond. In context of foreign policy and military strategy, what outcomes Iran must have thought before announcing this, sir?
You know, this is very strange in the sense two things stands out. One is that it has stopped only hitting to these 12 countries, that is Middle East countries, which are mainly Middle East country and also including Turkey and Azerbaijan. You know, they are thinking that they don't want to get involved with these countries. After all, they are victim of crossfire because they gave a military base to US, and today Iran is hitting the military bases, and there are collateral damage which is taking place to the infrastructure of these countries, and especially their oil energy sector is completely ruined, and so is their basically tourism. I suppose these countries have put pressure on Iran, and Iran does not want to have enmity with the Muslim world. So Iran wants a goodwill. So possibly that is one reason. The second thing is Iran also knows that it does not have, you know, the storage of or the stockpile of missiles and rockets and drones unending. After all, it is about 6,000 to 7,000 missiles and rockets and about, say, 52,000 to 60,000 drones. And they are presuming it that the war with Israel and US will still carry on. So I suppose this is the second. The third thing is possibly Masoud Pezeshkian, who is the president, is a moderate chap. He's giving an indication that they are ready for some sort of negotiation. I think that's also a very good news. Remember that there is a scope, there is a hope which is going on when Donald Trump is saying that in case if they put a moderate chap, the one which also approved by the US, they are ready to accept after Ayatollah Khamenei as a supreme leader. So all these developments are taking place. Something is there, but I suppose that Iran has now gone in a correct direction. Fully agree that it's a Shia country, and majority of these countries which has been hit are Sunni, but there are Shia population also. It is in Iraq, it is in Yemen, it is also in Syria. Of course, Syria has not been affected. So I suppose it's a positive direction, and this can lead toward the end of this conflict, which is unnecessary because it is affecting the economy of the whole world, especially the Strait of Hormuz is closed, where 20% oil goes. Houthi rebel is affecting the Red Sea. But by doing what Iran has said, that given indication, Iran is ready for negotiation.
Iran is ready for negotiation. This is the indication. But you see, so there is very interesting thing. You know, I would like to bring you here. So you must have read him. You must have heard about him, sir. I'm talking about none other than Haftur. Sir, Haftur is a person, Khalaf al-Haftur, who built big parts of Dubai. You know, he's the man. He's part of the al-Haftur group. He wrote an open letter to Donald Trump on March 5th, 2026, saying that who gave right to Donald Trump to organize a war. We didn't invest in Trump. And you know, sir, who am I talking about? I'm talking about the man who holds exclusive dealerships of Bentley, McLaren, Bugatti, holds the you know, divisions of Ritz-Carlton in Budapest, Al-Haftur City, multi-tower development, Dubai waterfront. Someone who represents the interests of the royalty there. And this article, a lot of people were saying, which was published in Middle East Eye, that is, you know, in a country where public opinion and articles are so tightly controlled, is it reflecting the sentiment of the royalties of this region that please don't drag us into the war? General Sivaj.
Absolutely correct. Because after all, the royalty of this, you know, region is also equally vulnerable in case this sort of destruction take place in these countries. There may be uprising which take place against basically the rulers of these countries because they are feeling that they allowed the Americans to come and give them a basis. Today, it has become a liability for these countries because Iran is attacking on these military bases. And they were given place because they wanted a security. It has become a other way around. So this is very much possible. And second thing is, now America is looking after its own interests. America knows that all these countries after the war will now require more defense equipment because they are now feeling vulnerable. and there will be sale of defense equipment mainly from US. And the second thing is the Iran, as far as US is concerned, its main aim is how to control the oil of Iran. I suppose that is a very important thing which is there. But all these countries which are there in the Middle East, they want peace, they want the war to stop, and that's the main thing. And since there are monarchy, they are also worried that there can be a challenge to their own way of ruling, because the people uprising can be there in case if they find that people are now getting hit by the Iranian missiles and rockets, and they now challenge the monarchy that it has happened due to your wrong decision taken, that you have invited the Americans to have bases here. I suppose that can be possible.
Major General Sudhakar ji, thank you, sir. Sudhakar ji, am I audible to you, sir?
Loud and clear.
Loud and clear. Sir, your first assessment of what has happened, this news has taken us by surprise. May I read out what Pezeshkian has said?
Please, please.
Oh, so, sir, the Pezeshkian announced that Interim Leadership Council approved that no attacks or missile strikes will be carried out against neighboring countries unless an attack against Iran originates from those countries. One, Iran president says that the US demand for unconditional surrender is a dream that they should take to their grave. This has been reported by AP. And he also says that I apologize to the neighboring countries. We have no enmity with the regional countries. And before that, sir, I was having a word with General Sivach, and I was telling him that Haptur, a very big magnate of Gulf, a very rich man. It's like you can say that a mini Donald Trump, who was everywhere when, Abraham Accord was being signed and, all the top level diplomacy was being conducted, wrote an open letter to Trump on 5th of March, sir, saying that who gave Trump the right to create war in Gulf region. And, and a lot of people were saying that, who asked him to write such an article until the royalty asked him to do it, because, the public opinion is so tightly controlled in the entire West Asian region. So, and now this has happened. So, is it telling us that there was some deep churning taking place within the Gulf countries, sir?
Kartike, for you, it may be something out of the box or out of the world. For me, it was on the expected lines. It's a very mature and responsible decision that has been taken by Iran. They are mindful of the fact they have lost about, you see, when you talk about the missile inventory or the drone inventory, they have got a stockpile of 86,000 kamikaze, Shahid 136, good about 3,000 as per the open source. I keep maintaining they have got much more than that. What matters at the end of the day is, the sustainability, the larger good of Iran state as a nation. Larger good is to protect and extend the regime and its theocratic rule. This is the best option they have gone in for. And also by extending this conflict and expanding it beyond a particular limit will actually alienate them and isolate them. And third and most important thing, by having done what they have done, by retaliating against the arbitrary and unilateral kind of imposition of a conflict against Iran, taking off the lives of the supreme leader and 49 important leaders, they have highlighted one very important thing, that the international law cannot be subjected to cherry picking. I think, heard or read our Minister of External Affairs having articulated a beautiful thing, that you cannot do what you think is appropriate to you, and you cannot actually not apply the same thing when others start doing it. So this is called cherry picking of international law. There has to be some method in madness. You cannot, without declaring a war, you cannot, knock off the supreme leader or the head of one of the countries and 49 important leaders. Alongside, you take the lives of 180 odd young girls, students teaching, learning in the school. Also, the volleyball team. You cannot knock off a vessel which is so many miles away in the international waters without having warned. There has to be some method in madness to be followed in Cold War 2.0 in the 21st century, because this is a big highlight which I would actually, extend my gratitude to Iran. They have, by retaliating and having fought the war, tooth and nail for 8 days, they have highlighted these important issues, whether Iran's regime remains or not, whether the regime undergo change or not, but the bulldozing way and pushing the arbitrary intention and objective of USA in 21st century has to be called out by one and all the world order, then that meaningful and substantive way forward of peace and normalcy will have some meaning, and then that rule in the rules-based international will have some substance which is to be followed by one and all.